Well, hello and welcome to another episode of More Perfect Marketing. It's David Baer here, and today we're going to be talking about something that I've dabbled in from time to time, and I really probably need to get back into this a little bit more, but it's an essential activity that most businesses, particularly businesses built around either a single individual or a personality, really need to be paying attention to and likely need to be engaging in. And an advocate of this approach, this activity, which I'm teasing you about, but it's likely in the title, even though we haven't titled this episode yet, is joining me today. And that's Susie Bills, who's down in, I want to say Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And anytime I think of that name, I think Love Boat. So, Susie, welcome to More Perfect Marketing.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Indeed. All right. So what we've been talking about here is showing up on video in social environments. So this might be called live streaming. It might be live broadcast. Might have some other term. Each platform, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, they all have their own terms for their video streaming properties as well. Tell us a little bit about sort of how this became an area of interest, a focus for you.
Sure. So a lot of our clients have an online personality or an online brand, and they're always wanting, like we all do, right? We want to grow our audience. We want to have a larger audience. We want the content that we create to be shared to more people. And the quickest way right now, the best way to do that, because the social platforms want you to show up live. This is the direction the platforms are going in. Eventually, they want to be all live video. They've said, a lot of the platforms have actually come out and said that's where we're going. So the more you do it, we're going to reward you for it, and we're going to share more of what you're talking about to your audience and to other audiences. And so it's such an amazing way to kind of skyrocket your reach and getting your content or whatever you're doing out to as many people. So it increases your visibility, it increases your influence, and it increases your showing up and being known as an expert in whatever field you want to be known in or whatever industry. And so right now, when you show up in that way, you are 10, 20, sometimes 50xing how many people are actually going to see your content. And so my thought, or how I work with clients, is if you're going to make and spend time creating a great piece of content, we're going to get it out. We're going to push it out to as many people as we can to grow your audience. And this is the quickest way. It's at this point, it's still free, so it's super cost effective. And the only hurdle is people don't want to do it.
Yeah.
People don't want to do it because we're nervous, right? And so I actually, when I started talking about this with my clients, I didn't know I was actually going to turn into a coach, right? And like having to coach people to do it and get through some mindset blocks and things like that, because I think it's so valuable for business owners, especially to get that expert positioning.
Well, in a moment, we'll sort of talk about the process and some of the challenges that some of your clients encounter and how you help overcome them. But I should insert quickly that we're recording this and it's airing likely at the end of 2020. So when you're referring to right now is a time when this is, popular. If you're listening to this, 5 or 10 years in the future,
Yes.
there may be some completely different technology or focus for a lot of these platforms. So we should also mention that you run an agency working with businesses of the type that we've been talking about,
Right.
individual or personality focused,
Yes.
who have a form of online presence, whether they're an online or an offline business, they have a presence online. Can
Correct.
you tell? So the agency is called the Virtual RX Agency?
Yep, the Virtual RX Agency. And we are all obviously online. We've been an online agency for almost 6 years. And so digital marketing across all platforms for online businesses, but also offline businesses.
Mm-hmm.
These days, if you have any business anywhere, I believe, you need to have some type of presence online, right? Because that's how the world is going, and people will Google you before they'll ever call you. So you want to make sure at the very least that you have an online presence, right? So there's some companies and people that don't want to utilize social media, they don't want to spend time on it and they don't want to utilize it for most of their marketing, but at least having what I call like a Facebook business page, I call that a storefront, right? A virtual storefront, or like your business card. It's pretty essential these days to have at least that for any type of business that you have.
Got it. Okay, so I was looking through some of the services that you provide, and I know that in addition to the live streaming and the video-based stuff, you help provide sort of visual or written content for clients as well. And I wonder if you can help us understand sort of the difference in terms of the effectiveness for different goals of the different types of media that might show up on a social channel.
Okay, so let's say if you have a Facebook business page, right, which everybody should have, there's going to be different types of marketing you're going to want to do. So of course, and let me know if I'm answering this question the way you meant it, but you're going to want to have like straight promotional pieces. We all know what those are, right? It's a sale, it's a promotion of some sort. But really on social media, what you want to do is that even though you're promoting for your business, that's the least amount of that style of content. You don't always want to be promoting. People will just see it as spammy, right? And really what social media is used for, it's for being social. So it's creating relationships with people. And so that's why showing up and sharing about your lifestyle, or maybe your hobbies, other things other than just your business, is what really attracts people to you, right? That's really that attraction marketing piece, is how do you show up? This word is used a lot, but it's because it's a really great word, authentically, right? How do you show up and be yourself and connect with people? And what happens when you do that is you attract your tribe or your group of people, but you also repel people that aren't a good match for you. And that's just as important. So it's very perfect. It's a great, of course, you want to market your services or whatever you're coaching, whatever your business is about. But I like to do about 30% of that for the overall content, right?
Okay.
So then we want to provide value to people depending on what you're speaking about. If you're a coach, we want to provide valuable steps for people to lose weight or whatever you're coaching them on. We want people to come away from your content knowing that you're an expert and with some action items that they can do, like things they can do to actually get a quick result, right? And so and then you provided that, and you're showing up live, hopefully. So they're also getting the connection piece. They're seeing you speak. They can ask you questions when you're live. They can see your personality if they're a fit, right? Like if they like what you're saying and they like you, basically. So showing up in all those different ways, providing value, and then occasionally selling your services. Those are all the types of things that we do on social media. And if you want to, you can dance and do all these other things like on real, right? So it just depends on what your personality is.
Sure.
I don't particularly show up and dance, but I love doing live broadcasting and sharing all types of business and also health and wellness tips, because that happens to be what I'm into. So it's kind of sharing your well-roundedness, so people can get to know you as if you are at a networking event or a cocktail party, right? You kind of want, if you have that same feel when you are on social media, you can understand how you talk to people in a social environment. For some reason, when we go on social media, sometimes we get all weird and we can't, like, we don't know how to, there's this weird thing, but really it's just like if you were meeting somebody in person and they asked you, what do you do for a living? You just tell them, right? You wouldn't feel weird about it. You wouldn't feel like spammy or selling them anything. So a lot of my clients, that's one of the ways I coach them, is let's set it up and come from the mindset that we're just at a cocktail party, right? And you're meeting somebody for the first time. You would just share a little bit of information about yourself, right? And have a conversation with people.
Yeah, makes total sense to me. One of the things that I was curious about is the difference between video and either a visual post or just text-based posts, and the type of engagement you get around those.
Right.
And how obviously you talked about video being highly effective at at showing your personality and demonstrating this is who I am, and obviously that other component you mentioned about attracting some people and repelling other people. And I think you're doing this very intentionally with the social stuff that you're putting up. You do these morning mantras that I found,
Right,
right?
right, right.
And I think that, you know, the likelihood is that it's doing exactly that. It's getting
Right.
some people to say, "Oh, I really like this concept. I like what she's doing. I'm going to tune in and listen to these words." It's a very similar worldview or point of view that some
Exactly.
of the audience has, and some
Right, right,
people are
right.
going to go, you know, this is a little too woo woo for me. I'm going to go
Exactly. Yep,
find someone else.
exactly. Exactly. And what is interesting is we're so, as in general, most people, and I was definitely this way, scared of what people are going to think. Like, well, because we think we want everybody to like us, but that's not really. It's just as valuable to have somebody. So if I use the word spirituality or a word that turns somebody off completely, that's fantastic, right? We're not a match, and um, so it's very important to understand that we don't want everybody to look to follow us or engage with us. It's
Yeah.
equally as valuable to find out who shouldn't be, who we shouldn't be involved with, and not in a negative way, but just
Yeah.
that we don't have the same interests, right? And so when you show up on video and people see your, I'll use the word quirks, right? Or just your personality. Some people are funny, some people are, silly. I often mix up words and then like go, wait, like there's just a personality in there, right?
Yeah.
So with static posts or just graphic posts, great information comes across in those, right? We do a lot of great content with those still, but there's no personal connection, right? It's going to take somebody a lot of posts and a lot of reading about what you're talking about before they get that know, like, and trust factor, which is very important to when people want to work with you. And it's sped up so much more when they can actually see you. And if you're on live, they can ask you questions as well. So there's an interaction component that does not happen in any other way, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I can't emphasize it enough, especially if you're somebody who wants to, grow their visibility and their influence.
So with those, I guess the word you used was static posts. There's probably also a less of a algorithmic favoring of those types of posts with a lot of these platforms. So if I'm posting a lot of tech stuff on LinkedIn and Twitter are the two platforms I spend time on.
Mm-hmm.
And so on LinkedIn, I'll have a bunch of text posts, but I won't have a ton of engagement unless I'm actively going and engaging with other people. And
Right.
then LinkedIn sees the activity and then comes back and gives me some attention as well. But is video treated differently?
Video is treated differently, and that it goes back to what I mentioned in the beginning, is that, and Facebook literally came out and said, look, this is the direction we want our platform to go in, is video and groups, building communities,
Mhm.
and live video, so, or live streaming. And so we're going to reward you through the algorithms. And that is why you'll see, I might do a post, a graphic, and it's great content, right? It's still very valuable. And I can do the same, like the next day or a couple days later, the same content speaking on live video, and my video will get hundreds and hundreds of views, and my post will have, now it's just because somebody doesn't leave a comment or a thumbs up or anything doesn't mean that they didn't see it.
Mhm.
But the reach is, the comments are definitely way. Sometimes there's no comments on it, but
Yeah.
then you can go in and look and see what the reach was or the impressions. But my videos, yeah, a typical one will have a few hundred views of it. So to me, they're like not even comparable.
Right.
As far as, our time is valuable. So how do you want to spend your time? Let's work smarter, not harder, right?
Mhm.
And so you're spending the time creating that valuable piece of information that you want to share with people. Let's get it out to as many people as possible. And let's have the algorithm help us do that.
Now, I assume that there's also a big difference between a video that is being broadcast live and a video that's simply pre-recorded and uploaded.
Yes. So video in general is always going to be best, right? So a recorded video, and some of my clients will start with recorded video because they're more comfortable with that.
Mhm.
I just want to get them on video, and then we'll move to live video. So it's definitely, recorded video is definitely still higher up on the the scale for getting in front of people. It's kind of in the middle between the two, between a
Mhm.
static post and a live post. Video is still really great, and there is a great place for professional videos being done, like for your business, like
Right.
explainer videos and all types of videos, actually, pre-recorded, professionally done, right, that they're kind of maybe speaking about like your pillar content in your business, things
Mhm.
that you can reuse over and over. But for showing up in that connection, it's just it's not the same. Definitely not the same.
So and the pillar content, I'm thinking about the stuff that we have on our channels. My business partner and I teach a lot together. We interview each other in front of audiences, and we've recorded a lot of that and
Yeah.
have snippets that we sort of pull out. And we had our our video guy on our team make little 30-second, 45-second
Love it.
clips of
Yes.
different conversations we've had. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, and so also with either a recorded video or a live video, we can then take that video, right, once it's recorded, and do that. You're editing out like quotes or snippets, small bits of information that then you can turn into a reel or a story,
Mhm.
or even a little audio to add to a static post. There's repurposing, right? So taking a well thought out video or live video, and then once it's done, taking it and kind of chopping it up or sharing it on different platforms. Repurposing always is the best. Again, we all have limited time, so let's really spend the time creating a great piece of content that people are going to get value from, and be thankful that they learned that from you, to
Mhm.
make that connection. And then let's spread it out everywhere.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, I want to see if we can walk through a little bit of the how do you get started, how do you get up and running, how do you figure out what you're going to fill the time with on video,
Yeah.
and I think one of the first pieces of this obviously is what you mentioned about some of the clients that you've had having challenges getting started. So what are the types of things that some people need to overcome before they're ready to even dive in to this stuff?
Yeah. So do you mean like dive into social media at all, or live video,
Well,
or
I
just
think let's focus on the live video, no pun
okay.
intended. Just to get a sense of, like, people
Yeah.
not comfortable being on camera or don't know what to say or have a limited,
Yep. Yep.
what are the
Yeah.
challenges there?
Yeah. So that is the biggest one you just mentioned. Don't know what to say. Well, there's two of them, but we'll start with that one. Don't know what to say, right? So what we do is we start. My favorite thing is to keep things simple. So when somebody says that to me, I don't know what to talk about. We say, okay, what do we talk? What is your business? Let's start there. Like, what do you do? What transformation do you help people with? And that can be, that's a question for a coach, or that's a question for a service provider. Like, maybe you provide a service that is going to take the client from where they are now to where they want to be. So what is that transformation that you help people achieve, right? That's what we want to share with people,
Mhm.
because people are on social media. They are looking for solutions to some type of issue they're having. And so are you that person, right, that can help them?
Yeah.
And so we just really quickly is also an operative word, because sometimes it's easy to get stuck in trying to figure things out, and then we never take action forward.
Mhm.
And so we will quickly, let's write down the 3 or 4 pillar topics that you talk about in your business, right? Again, I'll say, if you were at a networking event and somebody asked you, what do you do? You probably have a 2 or 3 liner about what you do, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you have a tagline, right? Those things. So let's start talking about that. Okay. So what do you do? Well, I help my clients. Maybe you're a website builder. I build a website for my clients so they can get leads, right? Whatever you want to talk about, let's narrow it down to the basics, that somebody that is behind where you used to be, right? So if you're a coach and you have had a transformation where you lost weight and you help people lose weight, right? You want to start talking to people that want to lose weight. They are looking to you for that transformation. And so when you were in their place, what did you need to know? Right. So those are the things we can talk about.
Sure.
So we just want to get it go way back to the basics, right? Those are the type of things that people are looking for when they show up on social media. They don't want a huge, hour-long video on how to lose weight. They want some quick tips. They want 5 tips to lose weight or to feel better or whatever they're looking for. So that's what we're going to give them when we do a live. We're going to do a quick little outline. So it's not a script, right? You're not going to read every word. I like to use a sticky note with my bullet points on it, just so to keep myself on track. I'll usually stick it on my computer right by the camera. And then I'll just show up and start talking about whatever those tips are that I'm giving them. And I keep it really short, especially when we're first getting started, 2, 3, 5 minutes. Like, it does not have to be a big production, and it shouldn't be. And you just show up and you start sharing some valuable content. The key to that is you want the viewer to be able to take something away and do something with it. That's really the key. Something else that's beautiful is right when you're starting out, nobody's watching. So it's almost like you just get a practice. And as you get better, then people start, right? So in the beginning, nobody's watching. And my other tip that I share with people is I don't ever go back and watch my videos. Like, I'll do a live video and then I just move on. So I don't go back and critique myself or watch it, because what happens is we tear ourselves apart and then we delete it. So the key is just to show up, have your little 3 or 5 tips. Let's say this is for someone just starting, right? What they want to share with people. Introduce yourself, say, this is what I'm going to talk about it, recap it. This is what we just went over. Oh, and by the way, this is how you can get a hold of me if you want more information. And then, if you have whatever that is, a website or an opt-in, or you always do want to tell people where they can find you, right? For more information. And that's literally how we start. Super simple, basic, and the reminder that probably nobody's watching, so don't worry about it.
Got it. And I love that last little piece, obviously, because it gives somebody the permission to be, I was going to say fail, but just be less than they would like to be.
Exactly.
And then move on and do it over and over again.
Yep.
And at some point, people are going to start showing up and engaging.
Yeah, and then pretty soon, when you're feeling more comfortable, that's when we can go into the next step of promoting our lives and creating events for our lives and things like that. Like on LinkedIn, you can create your own events, right? And you can show up and invite people to your events and things like that. But in the beginning, let's just we just want to get you comfortable with actually showing up and hitting that go live button. And guess what? You are going to mess up. You are going to stumble on your words. You're going to forget where you are. That's why you got the sticky note. There's nothing wrong with reading off a sticky note and telling people, oh, wait, I have my bullet points here. Like, you don't need to be, and you really shouldn't be perfect, because that's not what this is about. This is showing up just with yourself and your personality. And again, that's what people connect to, because we all have quirks and we all are uncomfortable. And I always say, if you're showing up on live video, you're ahead of like 90% of the people out there, because people won't do it. So just the act that you're doing it and you're committing to it and holding yourself accountable is a really big, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And it shows that you are serious about your business and connecting with people, and you should be proud of it.
So I think the next question that one would ask after hearing all of this is, okay, I'm getting up, I'm doing it. How frequently do I have to do this? And what do I move into after I do, enough of those 3 to 5 minute videos?
Yeah. So I would say, first of all, what can you commit to, right? Because consistency is always going to outweigh showing up, every day for a week and then never showing up again for another several months, right? So if it's once a week you can commit to, great. Let's start with once a week. I do 3 a week. That's become a great cadence that I have. And then I can kind of create little series throughout the week, and there's different things we can do. That works for my schedule, right? So that's what we first want to talk about, is what can you commit to long-term? Because again, social media in general, it's a long-term game. You're not going to show up and do a video and all these people are going to want to work with you. That's not how it works, right? So having that commitment, and then moving forward, as you're comfortable, as people start asking questions, you can, when you feel up to it, like I mentioned earlier, you can start creating events, right? So maybe you do a 45-minute training on something that you're training on. So it's not just the tips, right? Like 3 or 5 tips, that's where you start. But as you evolve, your training can evolve. And then you can offer a free workshop or a paid workshop. You can do those on Facebook. You can do those on LinkedIn. You can do them on Zoom. There's live video, as we're talking about it on social media, is one thing, but it's the exact same thing to do a live Zoom presentation with 30 people that show up, or teach a class, right? So it's all about the same thing. It's just getting comfortable being live and talking to people. Some people are comfortable with showing up in like a Zoom group, and they'll sit there and chat about it, and they'll share things. But for some reason, when we call it like live broadcasting on social media, it turns into something different. But it's really all the same thing. It's just showing up and teaching somebody. So it can grow into lots of different things: webinars, summit, interview, all kinds of things. But the first thing we have to do is commit to showing up and getting better at our craft, if you want to call it that. Over time, you get better, right? Just by doing it. And you can't get better if you don't ever start.
Right. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I imagine that for some folks, particularly those who have run webinars or Zoom meetings and are very comfortable with whatever the technology is that they need to use to interact with people. I mean, turning on a camera and talking to it is one thing, but as soon as you have to figure out, how do I interact or manage other people on a call, there's probably an extra layer of either technical savvy that you need, or sophistication in terms of management of the flow of the event.
Right.
What tips do you have on that front?
Yeah, well, for starting out, one of the reasons I love Facebook business page is because it's so easy. You literally go to your Facebook and you click live, and then you can see people's comments. So it's a very nice place to learn. Technology is a stumbling point for a lot of people, and a lot of our clients, right? Because it stops us in our tracks. Because first of all, there is a lot of people have this idea about technology. They're in their mind is, I'm not good at it. I get stuck. Like, there's a lot of negativity around because they feel like they don't know how to do it, right? They always get stuck. And so that tends to make it harder than it really is sometimes as well. So what we do is we'll help people. We'll just hop on live, and my team, right? We can help you through the technology. We can either share our screen and walk you through it before you're doing an event, right? To give you tips, so you've kind of like been through it before, or we can actually be on the event with you, and we can help you. We can be the people that are screening the comments and taking out the questions and things like that. But again, it goes back to just, sometimes you just got to show up and do the thing. And yes, you're going to mess up. And yes, technology, no matter who you are. I was on a webinar the other night with someone that has probably done thousands of webinars, and their tech wasn't working, right? And she's like, oh, let me just, 20 minutes later, we all hopped back on. She got it figured out. She's probably done it thousands of times. Sometimes tech just doesn't work out, and you just got to go with the flow. And we have to also give ourselves a little bit of grace as well, and not take it so seriously. Anybody that's watching you that has done a webinar or done a Facebook Live gets it, because they've gone through the tech issues also. And so you just laugh about it. What else are you going to do? Right.
Totally. And I have been there both in the
Yes,
audience watching somebody struggle through it. And I've
yes,
certainly struggled through,
yes.
gosh, why can't I share my screen? That
Yeah.
darn Zoom, it's just not cooperating today.
Or like people
So,
are saying,
yeah.
we can't hear you. And it's like, that seems to be one that happens often for some reason. So yes, see, we're laughing. We
Yes.
all know it's just part of technology. On the other hand, how awesome is technology, right? We can literally have this conversation. We can be on a Zoom with hundreds of people. I mean, it's pretty awesome what we can do these days just from our laptops. So I always like to throw that piece in for a little appreciation of
Well,
technology.
absolutely. If we were to think about what the types of businesses you're supporting with your agency used to have to do, right?
Mhm.
Maybe they had to run a local seminar or a workshop, or be at the local library on a Saturday
Yeah,
afternoon for an open house or something. Um, and you work with realtors, was another
yeah,
area that you focus on, and how do they market outside of ads on bus stops
yeah,
and on shopping carts in
yeah,
the grocery store, and doing an open house, and yes,
right.
direct mail, knocking on doors,
Yes,
etc.
yes,
So this gives all of these businesses so much more reach and the
yes.
ability to share what they're doing and interact with people in a way that didn't exist before these platforms came about.
Right, right. And it's so for real estate agents, it's so amazing because they can really become the expert not only just in real estate, right, but in their community. There's so many ways to reach out in your community and do things and share with people in your community that can set you apart from all the other real estate agents that aren't showing up, right? That aren't showing their personality.
Totally.
So yeah, it's a big one for real estate agents, and I love real estate agents, and they I'm going to give a generality here. Do not want to show up on. They're like my hardest people to talk into it, which is I always find so interesting because a lot of them are very extroverted in person.
Hmm.
Love a good networking event. They'll knock on a door or call a stranger, but for some reason show. So that's where I started realizing I was a coach, was with my realtors because
Interesting.
they really had a block there. So
Yeah.
yeah, I find it interesting.
So coaches and realtors, and I'm sure a plethora of other folks who you work with at the Virtual RX agency.
Mhm.
Where can folks learn a little bit more about your business and the services you provide?
Yeah, the website is thevirtualrxagency.com. And that is also our Facebook business page. And my name is Susie Bills. I'm on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn for all the professionals out there. And where else? I am Susie Bills on Instagram. Got a little bit of stuff going everywhere. So
Perfect. We'll
yes,
make sure to have links to all of those things you mentioned, the
fantastic.
website, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And I really thank you for giving us some insights into how to leverage live broadcasting, live streaming on social media.
Perfect. And my parting words are just do it. Just press the button and do it.
Well, as you know, I live in Portland, Oregon, just miles away from the Nike International
Oh,
headquarters. So
well, there you
those would
go.
be incredibly appropriate words for today.
Okay.
Susie
Thank you
Bills,
so
thank
much.
you so very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Folks, you have been listening to More Perfect Marketing. If you know somebody who could benefit from listening to the conversation you've just heard, please share it with them. And until next time, I'm David Baer. We'll see you back here again real soon. Bye bye.